guys, it's Dr. Bickling from Own It Dental. As always, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, please do hit that like button. It's right down below, and it'd be a very productive thing for you to do. Speaking of production, where does production come from? You know, in dentistry, you know, the goal of a business is to make money. I mean, that's what we're in the business for. But what we're really looking at is where do we find this production and what's the best way to maximize it? So let's dig into it. All right, so today we're going to talk about where does production come from. You know, when I'm talking with clients, I basically use these four main KPIs, key performance indicators that I'm tracking. Let me grab my pointer here. There we go. So we have field hygiene, I track production, collections, and new patients. And these are the four main ones that I would track. I've put these in what I think is order of importance. But if we were really to think about it, what is the most important one on here? And it's probably collections. And the reason why is because that's money. You know, you got to pay your bills with money. You can't pay your bills with field hygiene. You can't even pay your bills with production. And you certainly can't pay your bills with new patients. So the most important one on here is collections. However, it's the one that we have the least direct control over. The rest of these we actually have some direct control over that eventually indirectly lead to collections. And so I would say that we have the most control over field hygiene. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that we have 400 field hygiene appointments this month, and we know that we average about 100 new patients a month. Well, if I pre-appoint all of those 400 hygiene patients for their 6-month visit 6 months from now, and I know that I'm going to average 100 new patients, then 6 months from now, I can realistically predict I'm going to have 500 field hygiene. And if I know that I produce on average $500 per hygiene exam, then I know that 6 months from now, I'm going to produce about $250,000. Will that lead to $250,000 in collections? Well, not exactly. Because if you're accepting dental insurances, PPO fees, and so on and so forth, you're going to get about half of your money from over-the-counter collections, and the other half is going to come from the insurance. And it could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks before you see that money. So although collections will somewhat mirror production, it's going to lag behind by a few weeks, but it'll always be somewhat of a ratio from collections to production. So we can directly control this, and just through a little cascading effect, it will be an indirect control over this, although this is more of a lagging indicator relative to this one here. New patients, I really didn't put that too much emphasis on that because these really don't become part of this until they become part of this. So we want to make sure we're bringing these new patients back, getting them on the hygiene schedule, making them part of our existing patient base, and that's when they can predictably become part of this number right here. Okay. The only thing I really use new patients for is more of a barometer on how available your capacity is. You know, if you start seeing new patients drop, then it might be time to start hiring another hygienist and opening up your capacity a bit. But in any case, today we really want to talk about where does production come from? You know, how do we get this number up? Because that's what doctors want to do. We want to produce, right? So this one time I was having a discussion, you might say an argument with a client. And, you know, he was just trying to fill his evenings and weekends with production, you know, because that's when people can come in. Let's produce, right? That's how we make money. And I said, if you think production comes from, you know, your evening and weekend appointments, that's like thinking that food comes from your refrigerator. And he looked at me all weird. I said, you know, sure, you could fill those appointments with production, but pretty soon you're going to run out of food. Just like I could go to the refrigerator and I could get a lot of food right away, but pretty soon I'm going to run out of food, you know? So because food doesn't come from the refrigerator, it comes from the grocery store, you know, for our purposes anyway. I know it comes from someplace else before that, but in any case, Food comes from the grocery store, and that's how I fill my refrigerator. And when do we do our grocery shopping? Evenings and weekends. Why? Because that's when we're available. So I like to go hygiene heavy on evenings and weekends because that's when the patients are available. And by the way, patients that come in on evenings and weekends for hygiene appointments also spend 2 to 3 times as much. But in any case, those patients are coming in on evenings and weekends, and that's when we do our grocery shopping. We do our grocery shopping on the evening and weekend, so we have food on a Tuesday. We do our hygiene checks on an evening and a weekend, so we have a root canal on a Tuesday or a crown on a Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So I advise my clients to go heavy on the hygiene on both evenings and weekends because it has been shown that patients will not take off work for cleanings, but they will take off work for dental procedures. And plus those patients that do come in during those times for those cleanings are 2 to 3 times as valuable as the ones that come in during the middle of the day, middle of the week. So if you really want production, don't go to the refrigerator, go to the grocery store. Fill your evenings and weekends up with your hygiene checks so that you have your production during the middle of the day, middle of the week. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Dr. Bickling. Here's my contact information, and I'll see you on the next one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, go to ownitdental.com or click the link above and check out my services. I have dozens of hours of training videos and have negotiated reduced lab fees for all my clients. So if you want to get out of the dental chair and start owning your business, go to ownitdental.com and check out my services, and I'll see you soon.